what was the genesis and the idea of the story concept? How did you come up with that, or what made you
Yo,
want to
with
do it?
Roger. Yeah, well, when we came out with Think, I was proud. I'm going to school. I'm like, yo, this is our single. And I let a few adults hear it, like, yo, this is my record or whatever. It was like, you need to do something with some meaning, like do something to inspire the youth and that kind of thing. And that's where Roger came from. I was just like, all right, let me live up to this challenge right here. So, I did my duty, man. A lot of people to this day they say, yo, that inspired me. When Just Blaze came to me like, yo, that song inspired me. I was like, man, that's cool. But it was just kind of living up to a challenge a little bit.
Yeah, and I think too, it's one of the things I liked about the story so much was toward the end, you said how his life seems complete, and part of the completion of this life is being able to chill and being able to live comfortably and relax and not have all this chaos in the world.
Right.
So was that something that you saw a lot yourself? Did you envision that for yourself? Like how was that factoring into what you wrote?
Yeah, now at that time, man, I had an idea of it was a hood idea of what rich was, what peace was, and things like that. It's like, oh, he's going to Italian restaurants now. I'm following the lead of what I'm hearing, like from G Rap and all of these guys, and just those were the goals back then. To have a good pair of shoes and a home where you got plenty of female friends and you chilling, that kind of thing, like. And so that's all that was. But I knew the way to get that was through being educated. And so I kind of tried to tie it in with a story about being educated. You know what I'm saying? So you could go out here in the world and speak on it a little bit. Definitely.
Yeah. So that brings an interesting thing. Since education is important to you, why do you think you didn't spend more time educating yourself on some of the equipment? Because you mentioned that that was something you wish you would have done or you didn't pay as
Yeah.
much attention to. Why do you think you didn't at the time?
Well, I mean, it was at those times, it was so crazy to even have a drum machine, like to get access to this. So there's this like fine line that I'm toggling on, which is like being super hip hop and now coming into this technical world where it's like, all right, it's got to be hip hop, but I wanted to compete kind of thing. So it was just a matter of like, I'm already in the game and you're learning in the studio at a different rate. It's not like, all right, I'm going to school, like audio engineering school or anything. Like a lot of dudes learn from the engineers. And at those times, like to have, like you see dudes now, they made drum machines more affordable. So in those times, like drum machines were 3, 4, 5,000. We had this machine, the Publisan, that was like this, like like you said the Publisan, and it was like a light would glow, and like this thing is extinct now, but at that time, that thing they were saying it was like $10,000. So a lot when you hear those numbers and then to actually have access to them, because that was my thing, was like that was like the blessing to have. It was a blessing for Paul C to even let me hold the SP 1200 for 2 weeks. That guy was just so in demand that he didn't even want to see him. He's like, yo, here, you take this machine for a little while, and because he showed me what to press on the machine to make. So he's like, yo, here, you hold it for a little while. I made some beats. Those beats wound up the beats for Intelligent Hoodlum. And then later on, I wound up, having enough money to, but it was intimidating. Like when you heard those prices, like it was like, oh man, damn, $10,000, like for this drum machine, or the Akai's at the time, some of the capabilities weren't. So it was just kind of like a tunnel vision with it. It was like, yo, SP 1200, it is. That's what we rolling out with, that kind of thing.
And I think to your point, people forget $10,000 now is a lot different than it was in the late
Yeah,
80s.
man. Yeah, that was. I mean, even for what the SP 1200 was back then was $2,500. Was like that was for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. You know, it was crazy back then. Like my mom's, God bless, like once I was in place and I had to tell her the deal, like, yo, I'm doing these songs and by this time I'll have this money. Can she helped me with getting my drum machine. And it was actually Paul's brother, Tim, that sold me my drum machine, which God bless, like God, only God can make this kind of story. After Paul had gone, I went to Manny's and his brother worked there. And it was the last SP 1200. It was the floor model. And Paul's brother sold me my SP 1200 that my mom's helped me with. And then, like, maybe like a week or two later, I had the money from the intelligent, and so I was able to pay my mom's back. And you know, when you got situations like that, it's like, all right, cool. I'm bare bones with this. I got to make it happen with this. Like I can't go out like now. Like I said, you see dudes with 4, 5, 6 drum machines because they're making them more affordable, and just the times are different. You can explore more. But back then, it was like, yo, take this chisel and hammer and and build, that kind of thing. Whereas like now we got, we got machinery now. We got crazy machinery.
Okay, gotcha. Now, also too, I remember around this time was the Roxanne Shante, the Brothers Ain't Shit song. So
Yeah, man. I mean, me and G Rap was starting to become like a little duo a little bit, like with him writing and me doing the beats. And so Cold Chillin' wanted to put us together. He was like, yo, man, we need some work on Shantae. And man, we were going in the studio, man. It was some great times, man. Like he was writing and I was coming up with the beat. Dr. Butcher was doing the DJing and we was getting busy, definitely.
so with that, with Roxanne Shante, since everything I know about her, she's a very strong personality, and
Yeah.
she, like G Rap, of course, had been out for so much longer before you. How was that adjustment, or was it just smooth because you were in with G Rap? How did that work for you?
Exactly. Nah, I was anywhere I went with G Rap, I was good. I was like, yo, I'm with the man. Like this G Rap was like, and still is, man, like the lyrical god. So once and just even being a part of Cold Chilling and living up to the task, it was like I was on the edge of my seat about the whole thing and just ready to work. And we was making it happen. Like we had a bunch of songs, but I don't know, I guess Cold Chilling dissolved and then they made Living Large. And a lot of the songs didn't make it here and there, but we were working on a project. Like and G Rap was writing, I was doing the beats, Dr. Butcher was doing the scratches, and we were getting busy.
And that's part of the reason I want to talk to you about all this stuff is because I think a major thing that people don't understand or appreciate or realize about your career is the cold chilling connection of G Rap, Shantae, and even though Tragedy, Intelligent Hoodlum was on A&M, obviously he comes from the Juice Crew, cold chilling era, and I've just always thought that how things could have been different if, or not that they'd be different, but just that that's an important part of history that I don't think it's talked about a lot. Now with Intelligent Hoodlum and being on A&M, Trash Invasion, that one has so much scratching and the guitar and it's so fast. And Game Type is so different because it's a girl and it's smooth. So with Tragedy in particular, how did those two beats, because they're so sonically different and because you did them or you did them with Marley or however the credits work, but what appealed to him about such strikingly different beats?
I think at the time, like I said earlier, I think it was just hearing different sounds, different loops. Like when hip hop was starting to become more heavily sample based, like dudes were more into having a rare loop than, it being sonically big or whatever. It was just like, yo, and it kind of created a challenge for the rapper to, and I know Traj was up, I mean, we're in the same age range, so he was kind of going through the same phase where it was like a challenge to kind of come up with something that matched the music. And so he did a great job, man. And it, you know, like we like Trash Invasion, like they revisited that later with Nas Made You Look, like that same kind of, you know, the guitar from the Incredible Bongo Band and everything. Like we were just, it was just an assortment. And a lot of it came from just trying to get the phrase out of a record. You know, Lynn Collins record, you try to get the phrase out of it and, you know, someone connect with it. And, you know, I gave him the bare bones beats, like him and Joe Fatal. I gave them the disc, and then Marley like made them, took them to where they needed to be, where they bumped, and you know he had an 808 over it and things like that. But like the drums and the loops, you know, that's all I was into. I was just into like a rare record with a funky drum over it, you know, and just programmed up, all programmed up. And then Marley would throw the 808 over it, just made sure that it bumped like in like club status kind of stuff, and just, you know, getting busy.
Yeah. And I think it's incredible hearing you say all this, because I think something that people really don't understand or appreciate. Obviously, I haven't been in the studio as often as you have, but I've been in the studio plenty of times. And people kind of don't understand how much collaboration there is. It's not like one person in there by themselves in the dark and doing all. It's like there's usually, you know, you're doing this with Marley Marl, G-Rap's writing this. You know, it's this, it's a collective effort, even though one person is doing the majority of one part of it, probably there's still like input and different things. Dr. Butcher's scratching or having whatever input he's got, you know, it's not some you guys are off in the corner by yourselves type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Nah, that's the best. That's when the best stuff comes. You know, it's just like a collective. You know, like Live at the Barbecue, just a bunch of dudes in there with different, you know, vibes and coming together to create this one, you know, big vibe. That's yeah. That's the move. That's
Yeah,
hip hop. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, speaking of main source, with the looking at the front door, that was to me the breakthrough, the first big single you guys had. And that one, like Watch Roger Do His Thing, is a story, but this story was different because you were highlighting how you and the girl, you know, spoke differently, and you know, treating you like a burnt piece of bacon and all these like things. And this was also, you know, in 1990, you know, rap had gotten really hardcore and everybody was all about, I'm the winner, I'm the victor, I'm the guy. So what made you comfortable or wanting to explore kind of being in a bad relationship and wanting to leave it, as opposed to being like, I get all the girls, I'm the man? Like,
Right. No, I mean, at that time, I think there was just a higher calling for me. Like, I swear to you, I just think there was a higher calling. So, you know, at that time, a lot of kids, like parents broke up, you know, or they going through a breakup or something like that. So I think it was just something put on my heart. It was just like speak on this subject. You know, I didn't have, it wasn't actually like autobiographical, you know, it wasn't like the shit was all, you know, me, but autobiographical. But it was like, yo, these are things, these are situations, you know, I've even with my parents, you know, I've heard them go at it, you know, back and forth and things like that. So I just think that it was something on my heart just to speak on it. And now throughout all these years, because I was in a great relationship at that time and had great relationships, you know, but it was just something to speak on. And I didn't even know what it was. It was like, you know, because it's crazy because people come to me and they say, yo, that song helped me. It helped it. Like, and I'm like, damn, man, like I don't, you know, because you feel like you might have put some vibes out there in the world, but when you hear that it's helping people and that, you know, this girl is like, oh, I sang this song to my man, or, you know, the guy's like, yo, I play this anytime my girl's acting crazy. It's like, man, it's you know, but it's just something in life that happens, man. You get a breakup, you know, people arguing and a relationship, all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's the song for it, man. It's like, you know, people like, yo, I'm gonna leave, you know, I'm looking at the front door kind of thing. You know, when I heard Meth, Mary, you know, all of these people, Mary J. Blige, you know, Method Man, all of them, I'm like, yo, they kicking, like, they've said these lines in the song, like in their songs. And I'm like, man, it's just a fact of life. You know what I'm saying? Some people go through that, and that's some hip hop. You know, it's just a hip hop thing. I mean, a hood thing, just a life thing. You know, people go through breakups, and that's what that song was right there. Definitely.
Absolutely. And it's a like Watch Roger do his thing. It's also a great story.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.